Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ASL. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. You're here, tuned into one of the best tournaments in the entire world, the best esport that ever has been. And we are ready for one of the greatest matches, possibly, of this tournament. Bisu versus Larva is coming up today, guys. We're super excited, as always, here in the ASL. We've been a little bit robbed in the past two matchups here in the round of 8, Xun. We were expecting long series, but it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, I think that we can only hope for so much. I mean, the round of 24 and the round of 16 have just been that insane that we kind of had very high standards for the round of 8 as well. But I mean, there is a little bit of return to normalcy. You can't have epic, crazy series every single time, but who knows? Today's match could be one of those series which really do go the distance and it all pops off. Larva certainly more of a macro Zerg rather than one of these hyper aggressive Zergs like we saw from Soma. So I think certainly possible that this series could be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and we're going to be starting off on Screaming Sea here as well. Some of the chatters were noting that this is indeed chosen by Bisu, Screaming
Yeah.
Sea. And that's kind of surprising considering how well Larva did. Not in this matchup, but in ZVT, he really seemed to have a good grasp of how to play on that map.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, let's be honest. It's a great map for builds like Reaver Ser and Bisu might be thinking about utilizing Reavers here. I certainly think it is a strong map for PvZ, and I would be super excited if we actually do see Reaver Ser from Bisu against Larva. I think that could be one of the best ways we could hope for to start this series off. I certainly think that's going to be in the back of Larva's mind, worrying about that tactic coming out. Bisu also could obfuscate a different plan by making Larva think that's what's coming down, but have something totally different planned as well.
Yeah, I wonder if Larva feels confident to try and punish Bisu if he wants to go for something really aggressive in terms of macro. A lot of Protoss players want to open Nexus first on Screaming Sea and just take a lot of risks. I've seen Nexus first directly into Gateway, Cybercore, Gas, and then
Right.
finally a Forge. So you can get super greedy if the Zerg player wants to play along. Um, there's a potential for 3 hatch before pool here as well, though you never can tell with these types of players, with these high level players. It's a mind game through and through.
Oh, absolutely. I hope that Lava doesn't repeat Best's mistakes and some of these other gamers where they're not actually punishing greed appropriately. I think we saw that exemplified the most in Snow versus Effort, right? Where like Snow got away with so many Nexus firsts, and by the time Effort started pulling out the early pulls, it was too late. Snow had already switched up his style to being much more mid range and safe, and I think that Lava's going to have to find the right tempo here to pull out an early pool or two, not necessarily on Screaming Sea, but one of these earlier games to put the fear of God into Bisu that he can't just open Nexus first like that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Um, it's going to be a challenge to get across this long map Screaming Sea to actually punish something like that. So I expect a very heavy macro game on either side. We haven't seen one thing we haven't seen so far is a Protoss player try to proxy on Screaming Sea, because it
Right.
does take so long for the Overlord to scout the natural, and you're not really drone scouting very often. Often going for a really heavy macro economic builds early. We could end up seeing some sort of 2 gate on the Zerg side of the map in a hidden location. I think that would be an interesting way to open up the series.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it at that like 9 o'clock or 12 o'clock fourth base natural location on the high ground somewhere like there. Might be really tough to scout from the Zerg and be close enough to apply a lot of pressure to the Zerg as well. Certainly in the realms of possibility here, but if I know Bisu, I don't think he's going for a play like that. I think we're going to be seeing something much more mid game centric from him.
Yeah. One thing we saw with Soma versus uh, Best yesterday was Soma just able to block Best from getting into his strong position, his strong suit, right? Going into 2 base
Mm.
pushes and 3 base pushes. I don't think we even saw a third base in that entire series, did we? I can't quite recall all 7 games, but it really did seem like someone was able to get in and
Oh,
take care of business there before someone could, or before Best could really go off the ground. Excuse me.
I think he got a third base set up on Metropolis, but wasn't really able to stabilize with it and do much as a result. I think maybe did he actually win that game on Metropolis? I think actually we did. I think he did win the game on Metropolis when he did finally get a third base. But yeah, I don't think we saw that very often in that whole series. But talking about these two gamers, I mean, it's been a long time since Larva's had major success in the ASL. But once upon a time, a few years ago in the ASL season 11, he did take out Mini in the finals 4-3 and got a gold star to don on his chest. A 1-star general. Also was the guy that got knocked out by Flash in the semifinals when Flash was on a bit of a random tear. I think if you guys remember, there was a map called Plasma where Flash rolled Zerg and did a sunken rush that was pretty much undefendable if you don't know that the other guy is Zerg. So, yeah, I mean, he's had a crazy run in the ASL in previous times and might be looking to upgrade himself to being a 2-star general today.
Well, he's still got a long way to go. This is just the round of 8, but just getting that seed for next season is a really big deal. So whoever comes out
Yeah.
on top in this series, even if they don't manage to get an ASL title this season, they're going to be set up for next season, and being able to pick your groups is a huge leg up.
I mean, it's no small feat to get that gold star on his chest, like you can see on screen now. It's kind of remarkable. Any of these guys would love to have something like that. Bisu, despite having such dominance in the past, he was the guy that basically invented how we play Protoss versus Zerg today. He doesn't have any stars on that chest with the ASL logo on it. And who knows? He's been playing out of his mind recently. He was blundering a lot and seemed like he didn't even practice in the last season of ASL 19. But this season, he looks so much more capable and so much more scary. It's possible he could also go all the way. He's certainly capable in that Protoss versus Protoss matchup as well. There's a few other Protoss contenders to worry about in this series still. And I mean, he should be able to take pretty much just about any of these gamers down that are remaining.
I think it would be super interesting to not only see Bisu against Larva here today, but also against Soma in the next
Oh, yeah.
match. I think his style maybe meets with Soma's a little bit more directly than Best. Best kind of has to wiggle his way through the early game into that mid game to when he can actually have some strength in the matchup. But once Corsairs are out and Zealots are fielded, Bisu is a scary Protoss player to play against.
I mean, way back in the day, we're talking 2007, 2008, he was smashing it and winning MSLs all over the place, knocking out Savior and Stork, Jangbi as well. Like, so many big names from back in the day. But it's been a long time since he's really had that kind of success. I mean, he did knock out Jaedong in the finals of the BlizzCon Invitational. That was like 2017, but hasn't really had much storied success since then. And he could be looking to change that all now in this tournament and maybe go all the way. I certainly think he has a pretty clean path to victory here. I think maybe if there was if the brackets looked a little bit different, I think this could be a bit shaky for Bisu, but he's actually pretty darn good in PvP and PvZ. So I don't feel like these remaining gamers will have as easy of a time against him. I think Larva, despite being a very capable and strong Zerg, the reality is he's only recently came back to the scene. So despite maybe having some trump cards up his sleeve, I'm not sure he can go the whole distance against Bisu.
Well, it's all just speculation until these games begin. We've been correct on some of our predictions, Shun. We've been incorrect on others, but we're happy to be, as always, surprised and upset in these matchups. Is exciting as anything. So I'm actually predicting Larva victory here, but I could really go either way. Round of 8 has been so close. From my predictions, I made a prediction video. I put it out on my channel, guys. It's saying KCM on YouTube if you want to check it out. It was a really hard prediction video to make, man. I mean, looking back on it now, maybe you could, hindsight 2020, maybe you could see that Soma could beat Best, but I actually predicted Best to win, and I predicted Snow to win, but like it was just such a difficult video to make.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you maybe underrated Soma a little bit. Me personally, I knew how good Soma was, so I actually wasn't too surprised to see him beat Best. I was kind of saying at the start of that set that I thought Best would be having a hard time, and he actually did. I thought it was going to go to Game 6 no matter what, and it did. But I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. You can't always bring your 100% A game. I think Jaedong's had that problem as well, where he's playing so good in practice. We saw in a Jinjin video recently, Flash talking about it, how these players are playing so good in practice. When they actually show up to a big tournament like that, the results don't necessarily come. Maybe there's a bit too much pressure on them wanting to perform for their fans and do their best, and they just can't quite play at that 100% like they do in the comfort of their own homes, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a little bit sad there yesterday watching, 3 Lings get into the main base of Best and wreak havoc, killing something like 7, 8 probes, somewhere in that range. We didn't even get all of it on screen, but we ended up seeing a lot of damage from those early Lings in multiple games. So just one of those things that happens to even the best Protoss players in the world that can make some of you guys out there playing on ladder feel a little bit better, that even the best in the world can make mistakes like that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of catharsis for a lot of gamers watching at home, realizing that it's not just them. Even the very best of the best have those same kind of issues, just in a different stratosphere in terms of skill level. Uh, okay, so yeah, the matchup history between these two guys in total is 6-2. It seems some of these games are from a very long time ago, in like season 2 and 4. I actually made a mistake when looking up their match history because it came up with Larva in brackets player, so I didn't actually see their exact match history. So I apologize, I misled you guys at the end of the last cast, but they have had a little bit of history between these two, just not very much.
Yeah, they do have a bit of a match history. Um, we haven't gotten a lot of chances to see how they actually match up, but I feel like Bisu is going to be hard to deal with here. Larva definitely solid with his macro play. Maybe he just holds off everything. All the Corsair Zealot play really, really solidly with some very good building placement in Sim City, and then gets into a great macro position where he can overwhelm Bisu, but that's not a easy task at all. Bisu is incredibly good at sneaking in. He's so good with his Corsairs, keeping them active, and he keeps them alive longer than any other Protoss player. Like, you would think that they would be done. You'd think that, the time of the Corsairs kind of passed, and then he starts getting kills in the mid and late game where it's like, you shouldn't be even having Corsairs at this point. Any other Protoss player would have thrown those in and lost them long ago.
We see similarities with Snow and how he uses Reavers sometimes all the way to like the 20-minute mark. He's still doing Reaver micro and all kinds of fanciness, similar to Bisu. He's just that good, and he invented how we utilize that unit in the first place. He's the OG at that. So I'm imagining we'll be seeing a lot from him today, showcasing that skill set and knowledge. I hope he doesn't choke, because if Bisu plays well today, I'm predicting either a 4-2 or a 4-3 Bisu victory over Larva.
Well, let's see. They're both warmed up and ready to go. No hair dryer in the studio today, but Larva is ready. He's prepped. Let's get it.
Here we go, guys. The ASL Season 20 Round of 8, match number 1 between Bisu and Larva. The first map, Screaming Sea. Let's get it started.
Bisu. Spawning top right. Larva. Spawning in bottom left. Screaming Sea, first map of the night. And are we going to see that Corsair Reaver play that we would expect? Can Larva weather the storm and gather up enough forces to overcome that air domination that Protoss is usually gained or usually granted in the early and mid game. It's very hard to start to take islands here as the Zerg player once the Corsair number gets to about 7 or 8. It's like nothing can approach that insane amount of splash damage, and just shoving through the natural is going to be hard.
Well, I think the interesting thing about what you just said is it kind of relies on the Protoss player not really looking at their Corsairs for a couple of seconds to jump them with some Scourge and reduce their numbers. And if you're against someone like Bisu, who's really on top of their game and is not letting those Corsairs just drift unattended, it's so hard to actually reduce that count once it does get to that threshold. And we could see that happen today where Bisu just dominates Larva from the air. Certainly possible, but I also don't want to underrate and underestimate Larva too much here. I think if Larva comes out strong and Bisu's not quite at 100% of his power level, certainly think Larva could win too. It's just my money is going to be on Bisu.
Yeah, I underestimated Larva in the round of 16, and so I didn't want to make the same mistake again. One of the big reasons why I chose to put my prediction behind him today. I think he's been playing pretty out of his mind in comparison to what I thought he would be bringing here in ASL 20. I thought, you know, after such a long break and wrist injuries and everything that's been going on with him, that he wouldn't be able to bring this level of play. But I'm happily surprised and looking forward to seeing more.
Well, I can tell you right now that Larva's not as dialed in as he needs to be just based on his drone control alone. Like you see there, the drone didn't manage to intercept and do the chase micro by controlling the drone's inertia to maintain velocity. I can tell Larva's not 100% dialed into the game just yet, not quite found his ebb and flow state. You can really tell a lot about how a gamer is thinking and feeling by how well they're controlling these initial workers. And at the moment, Larva is kind of at like a 95%, and he's going to need to be at 100% to take this whole thing down.
Jeez, 530 APM is something else here. Bisu just ripping on the keyboard right now. Puts down the pylon here in the natural. Blocks the third hatchery, the natural. But third hatch just goes down on the high ground for Larva. So he's going to take likely a very fast fourth hatchery as well to make up for this. And that kind of narrows the range of play here that Bisu has to worry about.
Yeah, he's got such a great scouting as well by seeing the exact timing of that lair. Like, Larva doesn't want to make that lair at the third base where it is. Sometimes you would do that because you're happy to obfuscate the timings. They think it maybe is link speed first and what have you. But in this situation, you cannot afford to make your lair in that position. It's likely to be busted later on in the game, and you do not want to lose your critical tech at that junction. So he has to make it in the main regardless. That gets scouted. So now Bisu even more dialed into the timings that Larva can muster. And that's the main thing you need to worry about as Protoss, is keeping an eye on everything the Zerg is doing, and then you can min-max your own build order and adjust yourself for a very potent mid-game. Without information, it's a Zerg advantage mid-game. With information, it's a very heavily favorited to the Protoss.
No fourth hatchery just yet over there at the natural. Going to be transferring some drones, and looks like he's ready to go ahead and grab this spire. Doesn't even need to be said, but the mining at that natural is going to be absolutely terrible if he wants to mine off of any of those patches. So it's likely he'll have all of his drones at just that third base and the main for now. Still scouting here in the main with the Ling. This is pretty nice for Larva as well. I don't think he's gotten any kills, but he knows everything that's happening. Aside from this Stargate, second Stargate on the way. This is the big switch up for Bisu. This is the tech that Larva would love to scout right now. Can he get this drone? Oh, not the greatest control there. Could have pulled it to the gas. Wasn't able to keep that alive. One drone down already, and only one Zealot worth of commitment here is pretty rough.
Yeah, and I can tell Larva's not really on top of it right now. You see a couple of idle drones here and there as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not dissing Larva. It's so hard to play StarCraft at this ASL level. But I don't know what's going on with his head, but he's not as dialed in to the game as he needs to be. He hasn't yet found that flow state. It might be a temporary thing. It might take him one game to warm up or something, but it doesn't seem like he's super comfortable right now in that booth. So we'll have to wait and see if he can somehow find his bearings and clutches. Oh, yes, he scouts the second Stargate. That's a really big thing for Larva going forward now.
Yeah, always a massive deal to scout that second Stargate. Now can react appropriately. He knows that there's going to be a pretty quick critical mass of Corsairs to where Scourge are really not going to be able to connect. And so he throws down the Hydra Den here in the natural. Here's the first Scourge. Ooh, that was close. Wow. Almost manages to get the kill on that, but just going to go over here to the left-hand side, and it's unlikely that he'll be able to catch up with those Scourge. Going to lose 2 Overlords right off the bat. Can he get the kill? Oh! 1 hit there. But it looks like this may also escape. So Bisu doing a good job supply blocking. And, oh! He does lose the Corsair. That's a big kill.
That's a massive kill, Saiyan. It might be the one little tempo swing that Larva needs to just lock in now and forget some jitteriness early on in this game. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I feel like Bisu certainly should be able to dominate him a little bit on this map with the island nature and going for double Stargate like this against the 3 hatchery lair, but actually scouting it with the Zergling, killing 1 Corsair gives so much hope to Larva now. The only issue I see him having is he's going to turtle up his natural with Sunkens and a Spore, but he hasn't really got any static D at this natural third. So if there is some kind of crisp 2-base Zealot Sayer timing from Bisu that pressures this third base, the micro of Larva really will have to be on point with how he utilizes the Hydras he can muster to not just lose this base for free.
Here comes that big group, the first group of Corsairs. 7 in total. They should have +1 coming online soon as well. Here's that drop. Probably going to just take a probe to the island immediately. Knows that the Scourge will be back at home kind of defending. And can just get this ferried over as soon as possible to start that third base. And this is what makes this build so powerful on a map like this. Is just the ability to grab the third base so quickly, and there's no real room for a counterattack from Larva.
I love how he's gone double Spore here. I mean, there's a lot of chatters that have said, like, why don't these guys get Spores? And there's a lot of times where you don't want to invest in Spores when you don't need to. This might be one of those times when you know that they've got double Stargate, and it is technically keeping his Overlords alive for now. He's not doing the greatest, but he hasn't taken any massive varying degrees of damage just yet from the air units of Bisu. And we were talking a little bit before about how we expected some kind of Reaver Sayer build from Bisu, and he is seemingly going for that tech just in a bit of a roundabout way and going to be getting that fast third base online. One of the things that makes this build, like you were saying, so strong is guaranteeing a third. When you're playing on a normal map, all the Zerg's got to do is play whack-a-mole of any of your third base attempts. As long as you don't get it up via Ninja, then there's not much hope of transitioning out from this early to mid-game phase. Whereas if you got this guaranteed island base, so much easier to do so.
Here comes the Reaver. Oh, he could get an amazing shot here. Great pull from Larva. Still will lose 3 drones, though. Nice initial drop from Bisu, shutting down a bit of that economy while getting his own online. And yeah, it's totally true. Very, very difficult to stop this type of play from Bisu. No real way to shut it down early. And unless you could... I mean, I was thinking about that right as we saw the shuttle coming out. What if there was a pair of Scourge waiting over at that third base to just snipe that shuttle? That would have been amazing, but it's really hard to preempt something like that.
Yeah, you don't want to have that chilling there, and then the Corsair snipe the Scourge for free, and you've just wasted gas and lava for nothing. It's hard to play like that. But, I mean, yeah, theoretically, that would be the golden hour for Larva if he could somehow find something to that degree. But he's going to just try and play safe and orthodox, get his 4th base online, try and get as powerful of an economy as he can. The only problem is with this third base on the island coming up from Bisu, this build is even stronger than it is usually. So Larva will be on the defensive for the majority of this game, and Bisu's going to take the fight to him very soon. These Zealots will pressure these bases. Luckily, he's got Lurker Tech already defending that, so he shouldn't actually take any damage from the ground units of Bisu for the time being. But pretty soon, there's going to be Templars, both Dark Templars and High Templars, as well as those Reavers harassing and hitting his bases.
This is a solid play from Larva, getting these Lurkers out early. They don't do well against Reavers, but you know that the Protoss player is going to be a little bit strapped for gas when they're going for this style. So many Corsairs have been made, plus Reavers as well. It's hard to sneak out an early observer at the same time. He's left his natural a little bit wide open, though. There's a nice spot back here to go ahead and drop some High Templars and possibly Reavers as well. Going to pull the drones. Wait, did he forget High? Did he? Don't tell me he forgot Storm. There's no way.
I mean, I hope not. I hope not. That's crazy if he did.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Oh! That delayed storm actually killed 5 drones. It's kind of strange how that actually worked out for Bisu in the end. Mistakes were made from Larva, I feel. Catching one of these Corsairs, not quite finding another, trying to get another bit of compensation by chewing away some of the Corsair count in the sky, but Bisu doing a good job of not losing too much of those. I mean, this is kind of going Bisu's way. He also has a Dark Templar chilling in the main, but luckily Larva, on top of that, with some Hydras and an Overlord, going to shut that down. But he does scout the hive timing with that Templar. There's not really a lot that Bisu can do on the ground. Does catch another Corsair and softening a few of these others up. So I think there's only like 7 Corsairs remaining for Bisu, but there's just no hope for Larva breaking these island bases without flying Defiler tech, pretty much. And even with flying Defiler tech, they can just storm your Overlords, and Reaver Scarabs will rip apart anything that comes out of them. So if Bisu takes another island base right now, or just this base at like the natural third, I don't know how Larva's going to keep up with the economic scale of this game without taking his own islands.
Best bet, I think, for Larva right now is to get into Defiler Tech and get a Plague on those Corsairs. If he manages to clear the Corsairs, then the air will be open, and he can start to look towards these islands, at least start to prevent more islands from being taken, maybe grab one of his own. I don't know if he can break the island that Bisu's taken. He's added a lot of cannons to that location. He's got some High Templars over there, I imagine, as well, maybe even a Reaver. So that's very tough to bust open, but there's the potential of him stopping further bases, and right now Bisu's pushing forward. I'm not sure if he's really committed to that. Looks like he's just going to move up to the bridge and then try to take his 4th over here on the mainland, and that's something that Larva can truly deny if he's got enough muscle to make it happen.
I really like how Larva has got +2 Fly Carapace upgrades on his air units, so he has a lot of hope of later on securing some air superiority away from Bisu and have a higher chance of keeping those Overlords with drop tech alive in the later phases. Bit of a massive standing army, though, from Bisu, ramming it down at the moment, trying to start to lay siege to this. There's a Queen out, massive end snare on those Reavers, really slowing down how they are utilized. And the shuttle as well, making it much harder to micro that, so the Scourge could potentially catch that shuttle, either with the Reavers inside or before they have a chance to pick them up again. He's going to try and dive on it. Now he's going to kill the Reaver inside the shuttle, as well as the shuttle. That's a massive catch from Larva to really sandbag this push from Bisu. Look how many Sunkens there are. He just wants to shut this down and holds it in its tracks. This is great from Larva, but he also needs to find one of these island bases soon.
Dude, this is why Larva's the GOAT. That ensnare was so sick. Scourge come through, clear out the observers and the shuttle. This is amazing. Like, we're really getting to see something special here right now. Look at that defensive position. Larva is gonna just sit here and power up. He's waiting for that Plague to come online, and then Bisu may be in trouble, man. It seems like it's going to plan. Whatever Larva had in his mind is going to plan here. And, you know, whatever plan he has following this up, whether it's going to be some massive drop or whether he's going to have like some huge push that comes out suddenly and comes straight down that pipeline over towards the fourth base of Bisu. We'll have to wait and see, but this seems to be going his way. It seems to be going the way he planned it.
Well, I mean, this is a little bit of a more open base to attack. Despite it being on a high ground, there's not as many lurkers and sunkens here, so he's trying to shove up with these forces onto that ramp now to see if he can break open this position, but I don't think it's going to be successful. Larva's doing a great job of locking all of these bases down and gets reinforcing Hydras in position. You can see we weren't kidding when we said Larva was a macro Zerg. You can see how he's approaching this game is a big exemplification of that. Now another end snare just coming down. I love the fact that he's utilizing this spell. Hardly any Zergs on the planet go for that spell, much less at an ASL. So massive respect for Larva, utilizing all the tools at his disposal to show us a really high level of world-class game.
There it is. Okay, so he was continuing with the upgrades in the air. That's a very important thing. And look, here it is, ensnare on a ton of Corsairs. He's bringing forward the Scourge. Can he actually get the connections? Big connections here. He gets rid of a lot of these Corsairs. Now the mutants can really start to do something. And, you know, maybe he's going to make some Guardians. Maybe he makes some Devours. Let's find out, man. I have no idea where it's going to go from here. The plan is in motion, though. Larva is making it happen.
I mean, he doesn't necessarily need Devours. He could make like 1 or 2 the tank and make the rest Guardians or start to pressure these bases. Usually Guardians do not have enough net value to warrant their construction, but on an island map like this, they might have enough tempo utility to be worth making, to really start to put some pressure onto Bisu, especially now that he's lost the majority of his air fleet. And this is the play that we need from Larva. He's taking all 3 island bases at once. This is exactly what I was looking for from him. He needs to find not only tempo in terms of army trading, but also the economic curve of the game. And if he can both defend these bases, not only does he gain them, but he shuts Bisu out from taking them himself later. That's a massive deal. Another beautiful end snare coming out onto these observers, shuttle, and reavers. Look at that beautiful observer snipes here from Larva, taking away the detection of Bisu. There is no way of pushing up into this unless you've got endless reserves of Storm, which he doesn't. And now the shuttle is dead. He can take pot shots at these reavers too. Larva playing out of his mind today.
This is really sick defensive play. He just says, you're not ever getting in here. And I'm going to take all the islands now. So the defensive position is almost unbeatable. Like, there's no way to get up that ramp. There's no way to go through this choke. And he's just going to keep sniping observers and even preventing them from getting to the army nearly as some more rally forward. These mutas are going in kind of an interesting position, but they're just here to make sure that nothing can come over and harass this base. There's going to be more Scourge over here shortly as well. And definitely a few Niduses are going to be getting connected behind this. Here comes one dropship heading down towards this bottom center. Nothing to defend at that position, but he's sending the mutas over here to try and shut this down. 4 Zealots is just not quite going to cut it, Xun.
Larva's playing insane, man. I'm so impressed with him. We haven't seen how he's going to play for the remainder of this series, but to be honest with you, it doesn't matter. Putting on such a strong performance in game number 1 could give him a lot of confidence going forward. He does seem to be, oh, look at that massive ends there. It's not a Blake, but it's just as annoying and shuts down the mobility of Bisu to even do anything with those units. And I mean, Bisu's being a little bit more active in the sky, making a couple of extra Corsairs, but not many. He's going to maybe take this island in the top left, but I think those Mutalisks are swinging back around. I think he's going to go and try and save that island base as well, maybe.
Yeah, there's a potential for him to shut that down. Oh, 1 Archon makes it a little bit difficult. Yeah, can't easily shut that down. As long as he gets 2 of these bases online, I think that he's going to be happy.
Yes.
Just try to prevent Bisu from taking those away. He doesn't even go after the snipes on the on the High Templar there. High Templar not going to be sniped down. That's a lot of shuttles, Xun. I think that Bisu's made his decision. He's got to break some of these bases on the islands now.
Yeah, he has to. He has to. If Larva gets any more turtle than he is already, Bisu's in trouble. I mean, the one thing going for Bisu is that he can make a play for this island in the top left as well. Just try and get some connection with the Scourge, but the Corsairs eating the majority of those. 4 speed shuttles going to be dumping out units onto this island expansion with storm support, targeting down the Nidus. Some units do get out, but it's not enough, and Bisu going to be claiming this island for himself with 3 Archons here. Nothing to really come in and challenge this. Corsairs in the skies, Archons on the ground, so much splash damage available to Bisu. This is what I was worried about, is how Larva was going to hold on to these island bases. If he doesn't fortify this other base down at the 6 o'clock, Bisu could start playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised he didn't have more stuff in that base at this point. Maybe he was still expecting that Bisu was going to be shoving it down. That's a lot of shuttles, Xun. Throws away the rest of the Scourge, but he's gotten rid of all the Corsairs. Here comes the drop. Can he target down some of these drop ships before they get all out of their units? Oh my goodness, that storm is insane. So much damage, but it's not going to be enough. This base survives.
Wow. This is crazy. And what a wild game to the start of this series, and like, I don't even know what's going to happen now. I feel like Larva's in such a commanding position after defending that 6 o'clock. That was the main turning point for Bisu. I need to knock out your island expansions as quickly as possible and then start to set up a couple more of my own. I think that Bisu's now going to try and lay claim to either this center island or this top left. At the bare minimum, he has to stop Larva from taking them and use it as a checkmate move in the very late game phase. I mean, this is kind of really interesting that I don't know if who's going to win this. Like, I genuinely don't know who's in a more favorable position. Like, technically on paper, Larva is doing great, but maybe Bisu can still keep playing keep away with these island bases.
Well, I was thinking, like, yes, I think Larva got a good lead after defending that bottom center, that island.
Yeah.
But if he had taken out the shuttles, it would have made such a massive difference. There's still quite a few shuttles roaming around, and so there's still an opportunity for Bisu to try it again. However, the Overlord spread is now very good. Doesn't have those Corsairs to try and push away the Overlords and open up space for another drop. So I think that Larva's going to retake the island there, and there's not much of a shot for Bisu to come in here for another drop and try to shut that down unless he can get a huge number of Corsairs again.
I mean, this is crazy. I think Larva might run away with this game at this rate. He's going to get the base in the top left again as well. I mean, look at how on top of things he's being with this Scourge as well. Like, he's playing, even gets one connection on that shuttle, softening it up for the next time. This is crazy. Like, there's a very strong possibility that Bisu just gets choked out of this game and dries up in his minerals. I mean, these additional mining bases at the natural 3rd and 4th don't have quite as high yield as you might think, so they will be mined out pretty quickly. And if Larva has all 3 islands, I mean, what can Bisu even do? Like, Bisu has to commit to just dive bombing on one of these islands again.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go around the bottom side. Try to go for that 6 o'clock island again. Here it comes, Xun. The mutas are out of position. Can he target down some of these shuttles? Got to target the shuttles. One shuttle goes down. Kills the High Templar the moment it pops out. Second High Templar here. Looks like it gets a pretty decent storm. More and more units can pile through this Nidus, though. Storm on top of the Nidus is pretty painful, but a plague on so many Corsairs. There it is, that plague we were talking about earlier. Finally gets that on the Corsairs, and this play has been completely shut down now.
Yeah, you called it, saying that he just needed one big, beautiful plague on those units. Now, the whole game has been blown open for Larva, and Bisu unsuccessful in smacking down that base at the 6 o'clock. Larva dangerously close to running away with this game. That first island base of Bisu will be mined out soon, whereas there's fresh island bases for Larva. The longer this goes on, the more untenable it becomes for the Protoss player. Bisu has to do something soon.
Yeah, he's going to go for this drop once again. Slipping in between the bases here, but he's not going to dive on the shuttles. I really thought he would go for the shuttles here, but they're actually going to make their way down to the bottom center once again. Ensnare? No, going for the high ground is crazy. All right, Scourge come through. He kills 3 shuttles. 3 shuttles go down, Xun, and now it's just High Templar here on the high ground.
I mean, this is kind of okay for Bisu, but it's not like the money that he was looking for. Yes, he's going to shut down the mining there and be a little bit annoying to Larva, but Larva's got Nidus canals. He can just, you know, cycle drones around to these other island expansions and just not really mine anything besides some gas here for the time being. I don't know, man. The longer this goes on, the more I love Larva's position. I still think there's some counterplay here from Bisu, sorry, but I don't think that Ensnare was necessarily doing anything, although it might actually help him kill all of these Corsairs. They don't even react. Oh my gosh. Like, Ensnare seems like it actually has a lot of viability in this matchup. Like, I think maybe more Zergs need to do this, especially on these island maps like Screaming Sea. It does seem very strong. Another attempt from Bisu trying to bust the center island right now. A lot of High Templars streaming out some okay storms, but not optimal. He needs to storm the massive clumps of Hydras at the Nidus like that. Does get some massive clumps of Hydras, but not enough to shut down Larva. The longer this goes on, the worse it gets for Bisu. He's in trouble, saying, I think this is going to be a Larva victory now.
Yeah, I don't see a good way for Bisu to come back in this game at this point. He's just fallen a bit too far behind. He's going to send a shuttle up to top left. This might be the tap out moment, actually, when he sees that Larva's completely set up here with lurkers and Hydras. Like, what can he even do? High Templar, Storm, goes for it. Not going to get much out of it, though. And that's just about it.
Knows it.
What can he do? He's at 135 supply, and he's lost his air fleet again. He's lost that air fleet like 4 times this game alone.
I mean, I was thinking Larva wasn't so locked in the first few minutes, but from like the 5-minute mark and beyond, he's just been in a different world, saying like astral planing and somehow seeing things from a third-person perspective, and always dancing rings around Bisu before Bisu can even get in vision range to know what to do. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, Bisu is just being absolutely outclassed, at least in this game number 1. I mean, anything can happen in these other sets, but for the time being, he's having such a hard time. I'm going to try another drop on that center island base with just a few shuttles. I don't think this is going to be successful. This will be going to be the tap out moment for Bisu. There's that GG, and Larva with a very commanding game 1 victory over Bisu. Wow.
Yeah, he wasn't too fast in that game from the very beginning, right? Some slowness with the drone control. Some of the dodges on the Hydras, you know, dodging storms wasn't the greatest, but game plan was absolutely on point. And this just goes to show you how powerful a good game plan is in a best of 7 series. Like, this has given him a huge leg up. Bisu was playing well. He was able to, you know, out micro in a lot of those cases, but he just couldn't find a way to beat Larva there. He attempted to go up that ramp so many times, and this ensnare play just absolutely ruined him. It kills all the observers immediately. It's just denied. You cannot come up here with the observers gone. Yeah. The lurkers will wreck you. And now these reavers are going to go down. This is just a beautiful play from Larva and just an awesome game plan coming together.
And it's so unusual too. Like, I'm getting chills just thinking about the fact that it's almost like looking at the box art on like the back of the games case you're gonna buy. There's just so much crazy, chaotic nature that's happening, and doesn't usually happen in a real game. But today it does. Like, we see absolutely monstrous play from Larva. He very quickly got into that +3 upgrades on his Hydras, not even Carapace, but got a lot of armor for his air units as well, so that he could secure some air dominance away from Bisu and really shut down Bisu's Reaver Ser play. I feel like Bisu wasn't aggressive enough with his Reavers. There's the monstrous plague. That was the one of the major turning points, which basically put in the final nail in the coffin of Bisu in that particular set. We got some family pictures there from Larva. He is a dad and a family man. Hopefully he's had enough time to put in the practice hours that he needs to go the distance. It seems like he has. Like, honestly, that was one of the best macro performances we've seen from a Zerg in a very long time.
Yeah, that was a really strong game, guys. We're going to be going to a commercial break here soon. Looks like we've got a little bit more time here before that pops off, but we'll have to hide the screen during the commercials. That's just here for StarCastTV. As soon as it's over, we'll be right back into the action. It'll be something like 2 to 5 minutes. So don't think that something's gone wrong. As you can see, audio muted until game start. That's also because of copyright music that's played in the ASL. So don't fret, guys. Once the sponsors and everything is done, once the ads have played, we'll be right into game number 2. And I am super excited for what game plan Larva has for the next maps. I feel like he is the one who's adapted the best to this new map pool, especially when it comes to Screaming Sea.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't fizzle out. We did see from Effort he had such a strong game number 1 performance on Screaming Sea as well, and then the rest of the series didn't really show up and got punished by Nexus First and what have you. We could see a repeat of that today. I mean, if Bisu starts pulling out some Nexus First and really turns around the tempo of the game, anything could happen. But I mean, after that performance, if I was Bisu, I would feel a little bit flat and deflated. Like that's just what a way to be knocked down in the game number 1. I mean, he made that look so masterful with his utilization of Ensnare as well. Like hardly any Zergs on the planet even upgrade that spell, much less use it in the ASL round of 8.
Yeah, I think that it required some more out of the box thinking to from Bisu to go up against that. Like maybe throwing down a fleet beacon wouldn't have been a bad idea. You know, get +2, +3 attack on those Corsairs so they can really rip through stuff in the air. It's crazy how strong those upgrades are. Like once the Corsairs have +3, they just melt, absolutely melt things in the air. It's unbelievable. It's like cracklings with splash damage. It's insane how much they can kill. And so
Yeah.
they do very, very well. D-Web is also not a bad spell. Like if you're going to be dropping like that, dropping a whole bunch of shuttles out onto an island, if you got D-Web to drop on those groups of
Right.
Hydras, maybe it allows you to get more units onto the island and also gives you like storms still works. You get some amazing storms there on those islands, but without D-Web, he couldn't really get that many units on there. Guys, we're going to commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. 2 minutes. We're going to jump into game number 2. All right, guys, we are back, and it's time for game number 2. I think this is going to be an amazing series, Shun, just based on that first game. Like, some of you guys
Yeah.
might not be too sold on like the defensive Zerg style, but that's a lot of fun to watch for me specifically. Like, that's a really cool thing that we just saw from Larva.
Oh, absolutely. I've always had a soft spot for that guy. He's always impressed me. He's one of these like rock star Zergs that has a totally different way of approaching the game and showing you new ways of playing Zerg as well. Back in the day, he was the turtle Zerg that would always go for a natural third base and then take the fourth base behind that and sunken up and spore up and just defend while growing. We'll see if he wants to go for a similar style in some of these other maps. We saw that there's ways of countering that, like in that Soma series, you can just kind of mass expand and take a lot of the map while the Zerg is trying to sit back on those 4 bases. You can see here, a lot of people think Bisu would be beating Larva. And I was said at the start, I feel like Bisu is going to probably win this 4-3, 4-2. But just to be real with you guys, I kind of like Larva to win it too. Like, I really like the guy, and I feel like he's underestimated a lot in the scene. Still won't be too surprised if Bisu closes it out. We saw from effort he won that game 1 in a spectacular fashion and then kind of fell flat a bit in the remainder of the series. I hope that doesn't happen to Larva again.
Yeah, Larva's just such an interesting character, guys. If you're not familiar, if you haven't been watching the scene very closely over the past few years, Larva took an ASL title over Mini and then disappeared. He didn't take his round of 16 seed for the next ASL. He just retired, in air quotes. Just went out of the scene and took some time for his health. His wrist was kind of injured, wasn't doing well, and so he just wanted to give himself a chance to recover. And now he's back, former champion, never really dethroned, but here he is now in the round of 8 once again. Can he get another title here? That would be an amazing comeback. Honestly, this would be a sick comeback. Win a title, retire, and then several seasons later, come back, like what, 5, 6, 7 seasons later, come back and just win outright again. Unbelievable story for this guy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean when I call him a rock star. He's just so unique in that affinity. Not anyone else has really done that, but we're going to jump right into it, guys. The ASL Season 20, Round of 8, Match number 2 between Bisu and Larva, and the map is Polestar. Let's get it started.
Bisu spawning bottom right, Larva down here in the bottom left. Now, Polestar is kind of an interesting map in that the third base is very easy to defend. So we'll see if Larva wants to do another kind of defensive style of opener and mid-game play. I'm expecting actually to see something pretty interesting on Knockout whenever we get that map, Shun. Because I think that map, the first impression I got from it is like, it's super hard to shove in if the Zerg player just wants to play Turtle. Turtle style Zerg would be very strong on that map. That was my first impression, and I wanted to see how Larva would perform there.
Yeah, maybe that would be a great map for his style to shine. Although I will say that there's not any reason that you can't just mass expand against that. We saw that happen in previous series where some Zergs tried to go for that macro style and just got absolutely out expanded, and unfortunately didn't really have a strong showing. But Larva kind of the master of that style, so maybe he can make it work regardless of those factors. I really am curious to see how confident he is with that macro style on some of these more orthodox maps, and this is a great litmus test for that here on Polestar, because we could have a really powerful late game scenario between both gamers. And if Larva does want to play like that, it would be kind of insane, although he has taken his natural third, so indicates that he's not going to play the same kind of turtle style.
Yeah, let's see what he wants to do here. He's going to be throwing down his spawning pool. Nexus first out of Bisu. With full information here, can definitely get away with something like this. Larva can't get a third hatch before pool, because he sent his overlord over the top left. There could be a zealot on the way, so he's got to kind of prepare for something like that. But he's not. He's not going to scout with an early drone here just yet. He's just looking to try and get this hatchery down. Are we going to see another hatch at the entrance to the natural again? Like, here's that same situation. Same situation as last game. Is he going to throw that hatchery down at the natural?
I'm a little bit concerned for Larva. Like I told you guys at the start of this series that I didn't want the same thing to happen to Larva as it did Effort, and if he, plays too reserved in this series and Bisu starts metagaming him with Nexus first, he might be in a lot of trouble. And by the time he eventually does start throwing out early pulls, it might be too late, like we saw in that series with Effort. So I mean, a tiny bit worried going forward here for Larva, but I mean, if anyone can do it, it's him. He's been playing out of his mind recently. Maybe he can find a way of closing this out, but the reality is he's going to effectively have to play from behind.
All right, I think he just hid his lair over at the third base. Because the third hatchery was blocked early, he got the gas quite a bit faster than you regularly would, and so he's going to have a pretty crisp layer timing potential for. Oh, he misses the kill on the probe there. That was a guaranteed kill there. That probe was dead. And it looks like he just right-clicked a little bit over to the side of that, not quite getting the finishing blow on that probe, and it's going to continue to roam, but it still doesn't see the layer timing.
Yeah, but it's not that crisp of a layer timing because he went speed first, right?
Did he?
I think he did. I think he went link. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he went link speed first. We'll have to see where that. I mean, look, he's still not placed down a spire at this timing. It seemed like he did go link speed first. Yeah, I don't know, man. I could be wrong about that, but he would have a spire already, I think, almost, if that was the layer before speed. I think he's just now placing it at 4 minutes 25. So I think that was link speed first, right?
There is no link speed yet, so that would be done, right? But there's the spire. Regardless, is going to have that in time here for when the Corsairs come out. But will he be taking the second gas and looking to do some sort of air-based play, or is this just for a bit of defense here against the early Corsairs and switching into like a quicker fourth base?
I mean, that might be crazy, but he had link speed just a moment ago, so I'm pretty sure it was, but we'll still see. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. I'm curious to see what we have from Bisu. I don't think he should go for a double Stargate very often in the remainder of this series. It was pretty good on Screaming Sea. I'm not as much of a fan of it on some of these other maps. It does require such a specialization way of playing to make it work, and I don't know, man. We see so many Protoss players just get absolutely devastated when they go for it. Seems like he's not doing that for the time being. That's a nice crisply timed Citadel into Templar Archives. So we should have everything really well timed out to go for a pretty strong mid game. He did, I would say, about as good as scouting as we could have hoped for from Bisu in this particular set. So, oh my gosh, he's actually gonna get in there with the Zealot. That's kind of crazy. Didn't actually get deep, but still.
I think it's a little bit of information there going after this first Overlord. Are the Scourge going to be out in time? Looks like not for this first Overlord anyway. Not really hiding the Overlords out on the map like a lot of players would do. I'm going to try to intercept this Corsair as it's on the return journey. Can he actually find it really close? But seems like it'll escape towards the top side of the map. That doesn't mean that it's escaped the kill, though. More Scourge are going to be out on the map here shortly, and they may be able to find a intersecting path here with this returning Corsair to be able to finish it off. You can see it's just below this double pair of Scourge right below the Corsair. Not quite able to get it once again. Still trying to track that down. Bisu doing his best to keep that alive right now. DT already making its way into the natural. Oh, he's not paying attention. Is he actually going to block it on the ramp? Yes, he does block it on the ramp. Barely able to kill that off. Oh my god, that was so close. So close. He lost vision of that for 1 second.
That's wild. I can't believe how close that was. Like, he's so almost getting past those circlings into the main base. That would have been devastating for Larva had he not achieved that. He basically avoids disaster because of the fact, and now in a much better position in this game. Definitely not necessarily winning, but not losing either, and we'll have to see. We got a bit of a commitment from Mutalisks already. You don't necessarily have to go all the way up to, say, 10 to go sniping High Templars, but having 5 does force a bit of response out of Protoss, making cannons in their mineral lines and what have you, and you could eventually start to snipe some probes as well. But this mainly just does a cleanup on aisle 5 on any Zealots that come out onto the map for free, so you can put pressure onto those, like he's going to intercept them now, get some DPS onto those, while the Scourge kind of zone out the Corsairs from preventing that. So even though he's got such a late Hydra Den here, it doesn't really matter because the Mutalist is going to do a little bit of the heavy lifting despite not having a high count.
Yeah, that gamble getting shut down from Bisu early means that it is thrown away at some of this early gas. Doesn't have too many Corsairs remaining, and this last one might actually get tracked down over in top right. He may have to make another couple of DTs and go into Maelstrom because the threat of Mutas is very real. He only needs to make a few more, and he can start to snipe High Templars. So Bisu lacking Corsairs and Corsair production. He's going to be feeling the hurt here very soon if he doesn't get some sort of quick anti-air to deal with this.
Well, Bisu's going to do a 2-base timing attack. He's gone up to 9 gateways worth of production here. There is +1 fire Carapace on the Mutalisks and Scourge, making it a little bit harder for the air dominance of those Corsairs, but it doesn't seem like he cares about that. It seems like he wants to go for a ground-based army and try and do a massive 2-base timing. Not too long after Larva is starting to secure his 4th base. The problem is that Dragoons are not great against Mutalisks, so as long as Larva doesn't just make like 11 Mutas and start to snipe High Templars, this could work from Bisu. If he just suddenly surges out with a 2-base timing attack and Larva's not prepared back at home with lurkers and what have you, definitely could do a lot of damage to the Zerg, and I don't see a massive transition into a flock of Mutas to snipe those High Templars, so this is kind of working out for Bisu. I think, okay, he's making more Mutas now. So this is actually a problem for Bisu. If he does snipe High Templars, this attack can get shut down.
Yeah, there's just going to be a lot of Hydras being made behind this. A critical mass for Larva to clear up whatever remains after the Mutas do their sniping. He's actually looking towards the main, thinking about a dive here. The army's moving forward. It's time to start these High Templar snipes. This is a big test for Larva. This is a very hard style to pull off. It's definitely requires a lot of finesse with the Mutas. There's actually a bunch of lurkers being made, so maybe he's not fully going to rely on this. He's actually extending sunken colonies out and getting into a nice defensive position. I actually like this more from Larva, which it goes more into his style, right? Something like this, a play like this is more like a BTS special where you're going for, mass Muta, mass Hydra, and just trying to snipe all the High Templars and then overwhelm with Hydra. But Larva's not that type of Zerg. He's much better on the defensive.
Yeah, and honestly, even though the Mutas haven't sniped the High Templars, just the threat of that has delayed this attack from Bisu. So the Mutas have kind of done their job despite not sniping High Templars already. You can see finally Bisu feels confident enough to start surging across the map, but he hasn't actually got a lot of High Templars with this army. I only saw 4 with his standing army and maybe 2 in reserve. That's like bare minimal numbers, so he's not going to have much utility to actually break through a big lurker line. He might have to rotate around to kill the 4th base instead. He will be able to skirmish with Larva a little bit here and cycle out a couple of these storms, but I don't know how he breaks these bases. I mean, this base here over the left-hand side that we see now on screen, that's a really tight choke to run your Zealots down. then there's also not much purchase for Dragoons.
Here he goes.
One Templar, though.
Diving on the High Templar. One goes down. Nice defensive storm there, but another High Templar falls. Just one High Templar left. Is he able to get that snipe? He's going after the observers. The observers are a higher priority here for Larva, but now there's not many lurkers left. I think one lurker there on the left-hand side. That's going to get some amazing splash damage for sure on a lot of these units. More lurkers coming up from behind. Another observer arrives. He's going to get the full surround on these lurkers. They have to unburrow and run away. This is actually becoming pretty successful for Bisu as he shoves in further. Now turning his attention towards this natural. Can he get on top of everything? With one more storm, perhaps he can break this. Oh my god, the lurkers are all going down. This is a huge blunder for Larva. The storm, oh man, such good storms here as well to just keep this push rolling for Bisu.
I mean, this is a really potent two-base timing from Bisu. I thought for a second it was going to be a little bit hard to break into that third base location, and Bisu made it look like he was carving through butter here. Now starting to lay siege to the Zerg, face disruption shots from those Dragoons, killing the Sunkets behind the wall, now opening up this position. There's a few Hydras trying to poke in from behind to support and a Lurker, but this is not going to be enough. He's going to kill this Hydra Den potentially, and the macro hatchery. A lot of trouble now for Larva. He's just going to tap out. GG, and a beautiful equalizer from Bisu with that 9 gateway push. Larva's turtle style not really able to pay dividends in this particular game. It's going to have to go back to the drawing board. This is what I was worried about. A similar course of events as we saw from Effort, where he did so well in that Screaming Sea game number 1, and then kind of fell flat against the Nexus first from the Protoss player, and we could see that happen here again to Larva.
Larva had a pretty decent defensive setup there. He had opportunities to snipe down High Templar. Remember that was 3 Corsairs moving through the middle of the map, defending 3 High Templars. If he gets in and snipes all of those, it's so much more difficult to break those bases. But I waited to the last minute, allowed the storms to get off. Only was able to kill 2 of the 3 High Templar, and the observer snipes were a little bit late as well to help stop that push from being successful at the third. He had to pull his army up to try and flank what Bisu had, and got turned on. His army he just turned his army around and completely destroyed the flank. And so Larva here on kind of an even footing now going into this next map. Radion, very standard map, a lot of players, a lot of practice games on this map. Both players super familiar with it. Is there going to be another Nexus first? Now, will Larva look to punish?
Yeah, I've got a major soft spot for Larva, as I said before. So even though I want him to win, my original prediction was Bisu was going to take it. I still think anything's possible. Larva certainly could fight back strong in this series. Regardless of who wins, I want to see it go the distance to at least game number 6, hopefully even 7 on Litmus. That'd be a great decider match. We'll see what's going to happen, though. We're about to get ready, guys. The ASL Season 20 round of a match number 3 between Bisu and Larva. Let's get the show on the road, guys. The map, it's Radium.
Bisu spawning top right. Larva top left. Didn't quite go to plan there. Game number 2 for Larva. Seemed relatively solid, but execution-wise, a little bit lacking. It really feels like Bisu has the edge when it comes to micro.
Yeah, I think so. I like Larva's game plans, generally speaking. He seems to be a really solid macro Zerg, but yeah, the reality is that Bisu is engaging better, and that doesn't bode well for Larva in the whole journey of the series. It's very tough, I think, in the modern meta to make the turtle macro style of Zerg work. It requires a particular kind of finesse that, even though Larva possesses it, executing it is a totally different order of affairs. So I'm not so confident that Larva is going to be beating Bisu in this series, but he's certainly capable of doing it. I just don't always think he's at the moment playing his best A game. I feel like some of these players have pressure on them. I think that goes for Bisu as well. I think there's a lot of expectations for their fans to perform well, and that can make you play a little bit out of sorts compared to your practice game. So both of these gamers might have some struggles performing at their absolute best pinnacle of play. So far, I would say both of them have showcased what they can do, but doing it in every single game is another matter.
Ooh, not going to block the probe on the ramp either. 9 pool. 9 pool from Larva, so he is looking to get a bit of a punish going. Seems like he's going to... Okay, he will start all lings here before getting the hatchery down. But he will have that hatchery on the way in just a moment. 6 lings coming out to punish what is a gateway first from Bisu. Another block here from on the hatchery. Almost able to get the moving shot really rolling here, but Bisu going to be chasing this drone over to the third base. And now that pylon can be dealt with. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, he's close enough to that drone that he could block the hatchery at the third, so he has to turn around with the drone. So this is really annoying from Bisu. Now Larva has to kind of rotate back around, make the hatchery delayed at the natural as well. Kind of works out well for Larva since it is against a gateway opening. We'll see if he can do anything with these first 6 lings. There's a tiny timing window before this other Zealot pops out that he can maybe get us around on it, but seems like that's not yet going to be coming to pass. So I don't think this skill check is going to amount to anything for Larva. Maybe he could get a probe snipe or something. That would be huge, but seems like Bisu confident in keeping him outside of his gate.
Yeah, this is a lot of pressure. The ramp here is very big. It's hard to block. A lot of Protoss players will pull 2 probes to actually defend that, but Bisu is looking confident here. He's got his 3rd Zealot out, and he will not be taking significant damage, letting lings go by into his main base. That is a very good defense from Bisu. A lot of lings are being made here. Oh, Xun. He's definitely going ling speed this game.
Yeah, that's for sure. A lot of Zerglings are being made now. I mean, this will come down to micro, and like we were talking about, Bisu has done pretty good with micro, and the probe sees a few of those additional links, but not all of them. So let's see if he can put the puzzle pieces together, how much of a commitment this is. He's trying to bait those 2 Zealots out for us around. Bisu is not having any of it, going to be pulling back to the safety of his choke point. Cannon's warping in, but he's going to put so much DPS onto that gateway, it probably will fall, so he'll have to quickly make a forge or something in the place of that gateway as it dies to maintain a choke against Larva before that cannon is finished up. He's pushing out to meet the army head on, actually. Beautiful control from Bisu, shutting down that effort from Larva. Larva not even killing that gateway is huge.
Yeah, he's pulled the probes here to kind of help, firing over the Zealots, allowing them to 2-shot. This is really good, strong micro from Bisu, and he only needs to buy time for this cannon to finish. That's it. The cannon is now done.
Insane.
Very, very good hold from Bisu.
I'm blown away. Like, he made that look easy, and it certainly isn't. Like, a lot of Protoss players would have kind of clammed up a little bit and just, you know, try and make a forge as the gateway dies and just hold the line. But Bisu was just on top of everything and had such confidence in how he utilized the probes in conjunctions with the Zealots. What Saiyan's talking about is if you have a particle beam helping out your Zealots, you can actually 2-shot the Zerglings rather than 3-shot, giving them a bit of a pseudo +1 upgrade. And he did that in such a masterful fashion while even not losing many of those probes in the process. So now, without siphoning off that potential production from that gateway, Larva's going to have a hard time following this up, and it seems like it's just going to be a Hail Mary Hydra bust to try and seal the deal.
Yeah, this is such a poor position now. Larva has to try something like this, and Bisu should just make 3-4 cannons. Make sure that he's okay. You can see Larva kind of sighing and drooping his head to the side here as he plays out this difficult spot. It's yeah, it's not easy to make a decision here, but he kind of has to go for this Hydra Bus. Playing from behind and just trying to survive is not going to be very viable against Bisu's eventual 2-base timing.
Oh, he's got pros blocking already. Man, Bisu, like, he's bouncing back so strong from that game number 1. This is some really high-level play that we're seeing, and Larva still has a way of making this work, but he kind of relies on mistakes from Bisu to do so. He does almost get it around on one of those Zealots, not quite successful in doing so. He has to really respect the 6 Zealot timing. He has a probe that was trying to come out to assist, but he's going to shut that down at least. So a little bit of a small win for Larva here. Also forces a turnaround from those Zealots, but the main job of those Zealots was just to bait Larva to make Zerglings and units instead of drones. She doesn't necessarily know that these Hydras are coming, and having killed that probe scout will probably not be able to identify that this is going to be a Hydra bust follow-up, but it might not matter. He definitely doesn't necessarily realize it's a Hydra bust because he's gone for double Stargate here. Now that he sees a few Hydras, not the most optimal choices from Bisu. It kind of ruins one of his win conditions of just getting Storm and winning, but he also has the potential with these horizontal spawns to go on the hunt for Overlords and pin Hydras back on the defensive and cut off the ability to make more.
Larva got pretty badly supply blocked at 35. I was watching it there. He was sitting at 35 for a really long time and wasn't really able to make anything. He finally opens up some of that supply, but you can bet there's going to be Hydras, or there's going to be Corsairs killing Overlords here soon, adding on more cannons at the front. He does get the Forge. That's something. I mean, something going his way. And he can get the Gateway as well. I mean, it's not great. It's still a tough spot, and he's going to have a very hard time keeping his Overlords alive. But at least he gets that little bit of momentum on his side. Maybe he can drone up enough to make this into a real game. It's looking very difficult.
Yeah, I'm not as convinced. I feel like there's a chance for Larva, but it is very slim. The one thing going for him is that it was a double Stargate commitment. So, the Templar tech going to be a little bit behind schedule. And seems like he's done a good enough job not to take critical damage from those initial Corsair units. So he has effectively rendered this second Stargate useless. So that's a small win for Larva. The problem is that the deficit was so great that it doesn't matter too much. And if he even kills 1 or 2 of these Overlords like he's doing now, that's going to be huge. He does put Larva into a technical supply block yet again. I mean, he's not even having to make that many Corsairs to still get value out of them. And that's a problem for Larva because he can't go for a pre-storm bust timing if he's got Hydras pinned back at home defending Overlords.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be viable. Pre-storm bust, probably not going to happen here. 4 or 5 cannons total at that natural. And so he's just going to fall back. Doesn't have an Overlord here to prevent a DT from just coming out and dealing a lot of damage. So he's just going to go all the way back home. Maybe he gets a really fast lurk. Like, he needs something here to bring himself back. I'm not sure that the Spire is gonna help too much here. Like, maybe just to build a few Scourge. A lot of Zerg players will go for Mutas as a comeback mechanic to try and snipe High Templars and make that comeback happen, but I'm not sure that Larva can do that against Bisu. Bisu has shown that that's not really a factor in this series.
I mean, he also has 2 Stargates that he could switch on at any moment and go back into making a lot of Corsairs if he needed to in a bit of a panic. So yeah, not going to be super viable for Larva to rely on that. Lots of Zealots streaming over to the 3rd base location, but hasn't actually fully committed, just kind of baiting a lot more units rather than drones out of Larva, and keeping these Zealots as an active threat out on the map. This is pretty Protoss 101. Finally going to be surrounded by those Zerglings to force a trade with the Hydras. Not a bad play here from Larva, actually. Catching a few of those. They don't actually have their upgrades yet, so they can't even 2-shot these Zerglings. So yeah, that Forge Snipe does help out a lot since the upgrade timing was so slow, and killed that quick enough that he's just playing catch-up in the main base with those Forges now. And honestly, there's a tiny glimmer of hope here for Larva. It's just still a long way off.
Yeah, that was a very smart play by him to get over here and catch these Zealots with the Lings. Like you said, no +1. allows the Lynx just be that much more tanky. Usually they just disappear so quickly. Here's that meterless switch. Okay,
Ooh.
he's gone for it. The big comeback mechanic for Zerg in this matchup is now activated. Huge number of Mutas making their way forward. Can he find some really key snipes while he's banking up Hydras here and looking towards the 4th base? He's going into the main base, but 2-3 Corsairs here are going to give him a hard time. Just going to target that down. 1 Corsair. Oh, the Storm as well is going to make these so softened up, and my goodness, nearly all of them going down.
I think Larva got baited into a bad trade there. He thought, oh, there's only a couple of Corsairs, I'll take that. But that just set Bisu up for a quick storm, and Bisu really just wanted to soften up those Mutalisks so much that they would be next to useless in trying to snipe any High Templars. As long as he has strong enough utility available to him with these splash damage spells, Larva's going to really struggle to trade well soon. The one thing that was going for Larva was that his Zerglings were trading well because of the lack of +1. He has the +1 upgrade on those Protoss ground units now, so Bisu could just shuffle over here, take a 3rd base and chill, and basically be ahead of the curve that Larva is on. And Larva, he can't just sit back and take a 4th and macro up like he would usually be able to because he's that far behind the curve. He kind of has to go battle Zerg mode, make non-stop units on 3 bases, and take the fight to Bisu, and Bisu kind of wants that.
So Larva actually made Carapace upgrade immediately, so he's managed to keep up, and he's forced to cancel here on the 3rd. This is pretty nice.
Okay.
The Lynx are going to be able to trade relatively well. I think what Larva's doing right now is banking everything on a quick hive and keeping his upgrades ahead in the Carapace so that his Cracklings can actually do something. He's hoping that Cracklings can win this game, and Plague as well.
Yeah, I didn't see that just a moment ago, but as soon as the +1 Carapace kicked in, I totally see what you're talking about. This actually could be a very viable comeback mechanic for Larva. It's not going to be easy, but it's certainly a game plan. The problem is does he have these lurkers finishing up before the timing attack? This is what I was worried about. If you don't go for a battle Zerg army, keeping the Protoss on their side of the map is a little bit tricky. So if he does just ram it down before these lurkers hatch, Larva could be in a lot of trouble. It's a beautiful game plan. Can he execute? He needs to spread these lurkers now. He's just got a few seconds of time to do so. It does seem like he's been able to do that. But this is a massive Protoss army. He's got to keep away from his door. Storm's now starting to cycle out and trade onto some of those units. He needs to also try and see if he can snipe some of these observers. Unsuccessful, and there's 3 observers in the sky to keep the pressure on with 2 armor and +1 weapons on these Protoss forces. I see the game plan from Larva, but I think it's just too tough to hold off the attack from Bisu going for something like this. And it does seem like Bisu is going to be successful at ramming it down his throat right now, Saiyan.
Yeah, it's over. He throws his head to the side and takes his hands off the keyboards. Larva taps out in game number 3, giving the edge to Bisu. I like the follow-up game plan, like the attempted comeback, but yeah, it was pretty over from the beginning. Tries to get the punish on Bisu for going Nexus first, and Bisu just opens with a gate and holds perfectly. I mean, this is so reminiscent of Effort versus Snow, man. Like, he's really getting away with good build orders and avoiding all of the punishes.
Absolutely. I mean, I was worried about this at the start. As soon as that game 1 happened, I saw such hope for Larva, but I mean, it's one thing doing a miraculous game 1 victory on that map and styling on your opponent. You still got to play really good for the remainder of the series and, you know, kind of not be outmaneuvered by them by just getting away with Nexus first and what have you. And we're starting to see that happen to Larva. You went for a fast pull here, expecting some kind of greedy play with another Nexus first, wasn't able to find it, and didn't even kill this gateway. Look at the micro here from Bisu and the probes coming out. I mean, the confidence that Bisu has is almost second to none in this matchup. Like, Mini's really good with his Zealots as well, but I feel like Bisu has such a stronger understanding on how to deal with Zergs in the early game especially.
Yeah, 8 drones to 23 probes is... like, that would be a miraculous comeback if Larva was able to pull it off. He gave it a good go after the initial attack doesn't end up working, but it's nearly impossible. He needed some amazing snipes here. Snipe on the observers might have been pretty good, but killing off all these high Templars and the observers would have guaranteed the hold. He wasn't able to do both, or able to do either,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to talk about. Was I felt like he had to go Battle Zerg mode to just stop Bisu from coming across the map and doing this. Like, I see the game plan of the transition, and you're kind of hoping for the stars to align to make that work. But the reality is you're behind the curve enough that there's a lot of punching power in this army that if you don't go on the offensive and keep the Protoss player on his side of the map, you just can't stop this attack, unfortunately. And he was unsuccessful with those mutas and sniping any high Templars. So he kind of just, tried to gamble a little bit, and hopefully that like 1%, 2% chance comes through for him that he can transition successfully. But Bisu's too good to let that happen, man.
Yeah, it looks like Larva had to cut somewhere in order to get all those lurkers out and have enough forces to try and hold that attack. So he cut his Overlord speed, wasn't able to get the snipes on the observers there. We saw the Scourge almost connect, but just barely not able to get the vision long enough to make that happen. And so Bisu gets that clean win on Radeon. Our next map, guys, I believe it was Knockout. I'm really curious how Larva's going to go about playing on that map, but
It's
the opener...
Metropolis.
Oh, it's Metropolis. Okay. Is he going to try to punish? Can he handle another Nexus first from Bisu? Just let him have it and go into a late game? That doesn't sound very good either.
The reality is you kind of got to swallow it, as you kind of have to play from behind if you haven't gone for an early pull. It is what it is. It's the nature of the matchup, the nature of the beast. We saw a lot of success from Sulky because he was so comfortable from playing from behind in those situations. Larva's going to have to find something similar here today, either guessing right with the fast pull to punish that, or just being, you know, confident and composed in his own play that he can still navigate despite being behind. I think the problem is that I see a little bit of desperation from Larva in trying to shut down Bisu. I don't think he's as confident as his demeanor would suggest. I feel like he has a tiny bit of insecurity about his ability to go the distance against Bisu on some of these more orthodox macro maps. Otherwise, we would have seen a much more traditional macro Zerg style from him in these last two games, and he hasn't gone for that. He's kind of played a little bit outside of his own wheelhouse, and I think this is exactly what Bisu wants. He's kind of starting to shake the foundations of Larva, and Larva will not be able to play to his forte.
Yeah, it's similar to how Soma undermined Best in the last series, did not allow him to get into those big pushes that are fundamental to his game plan. And I mean, Bisu, I think, is going to have a great match versus Soma if he makes it through, but this series is not over yet. Larva is far from down and out, even though he had a difficult game in that last match. I'm sure he's got a good game plan for Metropolis, and the initial spawns are also going to be a massive game changer. Metropolis
Yeah.
is very contingent on those games, on those spawns, and you kind of have to get a different game plan going for each different eventuality when it comes to those spawns. Guys, we're going to a quick commercial break. When we get back, game number 4, Larva versus Bisu. Okay, it's time. Match number 4 with this epic PvZ continuing on in the round of 8. Bisu is looking poised to take victory. But what kind of plans has Larva formulated for Metropolis? I'm curious to find out whether he can punish a Nexus first or if Bisu will play mid-range and look to punish a aggressive early build.
Right. I mean, Metropolis, it's Larva's map pick, and he could go for a macro build here, try and keep the Protoss player isolated on 3 bases for a long time. It's very tricky to take a 4th base on Metropolis. We'll see what the spawns dictate as well, because that can come into play in a big way. If one of you has to expand towards your opponent, can spell disaster for either side. We'll have to see. The main bases of these massive boot shapes as well, so not necessarily the most orthodox of maps to play on. Larva seems to like it, and he might have something spicy cooked up for us. Okay, we're going to jump right into the action, guys. The ASL Season 20, Round of 8, match number 4 between Bisu and Larva on Metropolis. Let's get it.
Bisu spawning top left. Larva down in bottom left. And he's nervous here for sure. This is where the poker aspect of Brood War comes in. He has to make a decision right now. Is he going to 9-pool again? Is he going to go for an even more aggressive build, 9-pool speed perhaps? Or will he just open with a macro build, an overpool, or maybe even an 11 or 12 hatch? Like, there's a few different options, but it really depends on what he thinks that Bisu's going to be opting for, and looks like a gateway first on that low ground. Bisu not going to take risks with an eco build, and I don't see a spawning pool just yet here, Xun. I think we're actually going to see either an overpool or a hatchery first. So this is looking kind of good for Larva. Looks like he's made the right choice.
Yeah, let's have a look. I mean, it's kind of hard. Like, I think one of the toughest things about poker and StarCraft in general is keeping your head in check despite the swings. Like, it's bound to happen that things are not going to go your way eventually. And the real trick is not letting that phase your ability to play your A game when it does happen. And some of the best poker players in the world, they're really good at not getting emotionally affected by those crazy swings that can happen. And you know, you're going to eventually lose a lot of hands in a row. The same as StarCraft, you're eventually going to lose a lot of games in a row just because you call it wrong. And if you can somehow keep your head in the game and not let that dissuade you, I feel like those are the real champions in StarCraft. Someone like Mini struggles where things don't go his way and suddenly he falls apart mentally. And as long as that doesn't happen to either of these guys, I feel like we'll see great games no matter what. And I'm very confident that Larva can bounce back despite those games kind of not going his way. And I feel like we're going to be going to game 6.
Solid even opener here with 9 pool overpool against this gateway first. Is going to have Lings out in time to deal with this, and has a rather quick hatchery. This is a very quick gas though, Xun. Gas coming down already is a bit surprising, and he misses the probe coming in, so probe actually going to get in and see that gas, recognize what's coming here for Larva is probably going to be something aggressive.
These spawns are actually pretty good for Larva though. I mean, Bisu has to expand towards him if he wants to, and Larva can expand away from him safely. A little bit of a skill check now. See if he can maybe, snipe the probe on the ramp or get in there with the Lings. Not going to be able to do so. Oh, he doesn't block the hatchery at the 3rd. It's another thing going Larva's way already. So, I mean, it's kind of annoying that he allowed the probe in to see that early gas, but besides that, it's looking okay for Larva thus far. One of the better openings he could have hoped for. would have been really kind of disastrous if it was just a Nexus first that he couldn't punish yet again. So probably one of the better ways he could have hoped for this early game to go thus far.
Yeah, the stars have kind of aligned here. He's got the best spawn, or the best sequence of spawns, I guess. Bisu top left and Larva bottom left, and then gets the right build order. It's not giving him an advantage, but it's at least not putting him at a deep disadvantage. And so he's got this early gas. We'll have to see where he wants to utilize that. If he wants to get a very early speed or a super quick spire, it's looking like it's going to be speed. And so, yeah, we don't see that layer just yet, and he's denying the probe from getting in. Is he expecting Bisu to come out with like a 5 zealot attack, and then he's just going to overwhelm him with lings?
Maybe. I mean, 5 zealot pressure is definitely a very common thing for prototypes. Oh, he's almost squeezing in with that probe, not quite able to do so. Beautiful round from Larva. Does lose a little bit of mining time to get it, but shutting down that probe scout is huge at this junction in the game, and he did a lot of damage to one of those zealots where Bisu might be a little bit hesitant to come out now. He's already kind of softened up those zealots enough that Bisu will at least want to regenerate a significant portion of the shields before making another gambit to go across the map, and especially with the possibility of ling surrounds and ling run-bys, he won't be as confident about doing that anymore. Larva kind of winning the information warfare, at least for the time being, before that Corsair comes out.
Well, this is a little bit strange, Xun. 4 hatch Hydra, but with this fast of a gas, look at how much he's banked up. It's kind of backwards what he's done here. Usually when you do 4 hatch Hydra, you're going to get the hatchery, then you get the gas, and then, of course, going into Hydraless just in time to get out here and prevent your Overlord from falling. But here he's going to have a lot of banked up gas and no layer. So what is he going to do with all this gas?
Well, not a lot, actually. Like, he won't be able to really utilize the gas. He could have pulled 1 drone off of gas and only mined it with 2 for a long time. I feel like he just didn't want to do that so that he didn't have to forget about when to put the drone back onto gas. And eventually, you would want to make a second gas and mine a little bit extra. So he's going to not have to do that for quite a while. And he actually will be making additional macro hatcheries as well behind this. So he doesn't necessarily have to be aggressive, but it does seem like he wants to be either super greedy with lots and lots of drones or hyper aggressive with tons of Hydras, one or the other. So far he's pumping out non-stop drones. We'll have to see if that shifts his gears in a moment. Like, he needs to start making Hydras soon to go on the pre-storm timing. If he makes any more drones, it will signify just, you know, economic greed, and you want to try and get up to like 50, 60 drones as quickly as possible, and that can also be a strong way of playing.
Well, it seems like he's mind-gamed Bisu a little bit. Look at how many zealots he has, and then he's also got all these cannons back at home too. So maybe just pure greed here works out for Larva.
Yeah.
Bisu's playing maybe a tad bit too defensive. Won't have very quick gateways, and this is a pretty good snipe. Almost gets the full surround on that single zealot. It's going to look for more surrounds like that as these come across the map. Getting out a good round of Hydras. I think he should be able to hold without too much trouble. Depends, of course, on the micro and the positioning of those Hydras. The pulling of the drones as well is going to be important, but he's got the evolution chamber. He's getting into these upgrades. High ground is being held here. He should be able to block the zealots from coming up this ramp. Ooh, one zealot does slip over to that right-hand side, but this is a very good surround on a lot of these units, and he is doing some good damage. Don't let the zealots come up the ramp, though. Oh, that was a little bit surprising. Allowing those zealots to come up here is a mistake. Going behind the hatcheries here is a nice spot, and I don't think this will work out too well for Bisu, but maybe he can target down a few drones while this is happening.
Yeah, he's going to get a few drones, so he's not too bad at all from Bisu killing this many drones in the aftermath. He's actually going to shut down these Hydras as well a little bit and kill the majority of them. Maybe even a few additional drones now as a result. Really well done from Bisu. Like, that shouldn't have happened. Like I've talked about it a lot on this map. It's pretty easy to block the ramp and stop this from ever occurring, but now he's in a little bit of trouble and taking quite a hit to his economy. His entire gambit was to squeeze out extra drones, and now a lot of them have died. He's even getting some pretty good value trades with these zealots. He will eventually clean up these zealots, but not before they trade pretty cost efficiently. They shouldn't be trading this well. Like, there should be a critical mass from Larva that overwhelms these zealots, and he's not able to do that. That's a really bad sign for Larva, that he's whittling down this Hydra count in this fashion.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit out of control here. Zealots are still running in left and right, hitting each of these bases, and drones are sitting here not mining. The third is wide open right now. He's going to loop around and look for another kill. 2 more drones going to go down sure over at this base. And yeah, this is starting to fall apart here. I had some hope for Larva as the builds were kind of getting set up in this early game, but that failure to block the ramp after the Lings were dead, this has kind of torn him apart. He's not really going to be able to stabilize as more and more zealots come in here to keep this harassment going.
Yeah, this SimCity only works if you've got a critical mass of Hydras, and he's not been allowed to do that. Pretty relentless assault from Bisu, just raining down zealots on top of him. And now he's forced to make almost non-stop Hydras, which means he wasn't able to replenish the drone count that he wanted to initially. So his whole game plan's starting to fall through a little bit. There's still a bit of hope here for Larva. Bisu is very heavily committed to this zealot attack, so he has burnt a lot of his own resources to do this. The problem is that it is working out successfully for Bisu, and high tempers have started to be made as well behind this. And a DT over here at the third. Finally, Larva spots it, though. Will respond before losing too many of those precious drones. He is actually catching these zealots. Beautiful body blocking from Larva as well to lock these zealots into an attack. This isn't the worst case scenario for him. If he can kill these zealots without losing too many drones, he does manage to kill like two or so drones. But this is almost as good as it could have gone for Larva after those initial mistakes.
Yeah, getting rid of all those zealots gives him a tiny bit of breathing room. We should see a round of drones come out of Larva as he tries to recover. Now there's that big round of drones. Is it going to be enough, though? I mean, we're sitting here at nearly 11 minutes, and there's no real hope of a fourth base here just yet for Larva. In fact, he doesn't really have the drone production to make that happen. He doesn't have the drone number to afford something like that, so he's kind of stuck making a lot more Hydras here and just trying to power up. Yeah, I don't know how Larva can win this one. He's bought himself some breathing room, but I'm not sure if he's doing the right things with it.
Yeah, maybe not, but I do think his win percentage is much higher than it was during all that chaos. He did stabilize pretty effectively. A lot of Zergs were just falling apart completely in that situation and never recovered, but he's done an okay job of navigating thus far out of that tough spot. We'll have to see how he wants to follow up now. He will be kind of relegated to this Battle Zerg style, really late tech. I'm not even sure if he can afford to get into Lurkers just yet. It'll be predominantly just Hydra Micro, trying to hold the line while he squeezes out a few drones and maybe sizes up a fourth base. I don't know if he's going to feel confident enough to take a fourth base anytime soon. I think one thing going for Larva is that Bisu's third will probably not come down for quite a while, so there is a bit of a gambit that Larva can play for in trying to deny the third base ever going up for Bisu within the next few minutes. But I don't know how he's going to storm dodge his way into a victory, because he's going to have to do so much maneuvering to make this work.
Bunch of lurkers being made up here in high ground. That's a crazy place to be building lurkers right now. Not going to be in a good defensive position. Did he get dropped? What are all these overloads doing over here, Xun? I think he's actually going to load up and go for a base trade. Is that actually going to work?
I don't know. It shouldn't. Like, I don't like base trades with drop for Zerg, especially about cracklings. We'll see if it pays off for him. He's actually just going to go for a full-on assault on the natural expansion. That could actually work a lot better than a drop into the main base. Let's see how this pans out. The Hydra Den is going to die pretty quickly, though, back at home. Can he crush through the defensive line of Bisu fast enough to make this work. He's actually Lurko egg blocking the ramp here. Nice play from Larva. This actually could go his way. He gets in here and does a lot of critical damage to the infrastructure of Bisu while blocking the ramp. He's not making another Lurker egg on that ramp, though. He needs to keep trying to do that over and over again to stop the Dragoons getting up onto the high ground. But Bisu is not pushing up there. He's taken such a long time to do so. This could actually pay off for Bisu. Bisu having a hard time to task switch on two fronts right now. Can Larva snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? This is kind of crazy, Saiyan.
Yeah, he's holding on right now. The main base is going to be breached. He didn't build any sunken colonies on the high ground. If you want to do something like this, Larva, I feel like you have to build sunkens in your main base on the high ground and just buy time for those with the lurker eggs. He wasn't really buying time for anything while he was blocking there, and now the forces have really dried up here back at home. He's going to make a bunch of lings right now. I guess he can maybe surround some of these Dragoons, maybe kill off a few of those. The storm is pretty darn good. And these lings are going to come back. He's going to build a bunch of sunken colonies on high ground, but he's on one base. Has he killed enough probes to make this work?
I don't know, man. Like, if he uses some of these Zerglings to pick off one or two Dragoons, yeah, I feel like Larva can defend against this. Oh, the storm on all of those drones is so huge, though. And with these Zealots coming into support, yeah, I'm not so sure Larva's got this anymore. No, man. He was so close to winning this game. This is crazy. Bisu's still going to win, I think. There's a Lurker that's going to help buy some time at this third base, but I think the writing's on the wall for Larva. He's going to do some counterattacking with some Zerglings to even kill the remainder of the probes for Bisu to really shut down the economy for him and make it very difficult.
Oh my god, there's 10 minerals, Xun. One more probe goes down. There's two probes in the main.
There's one in the natural.
Oh, he's got drop.
He loaded up the He has got drop. He just loaded the Zergling up. He's going to unload that later on and try and keep killing the probes of Bisu over and over again. Bisu just needs an observer to help shut down this base at the 6 o'clock with Storm and Dragoon support. Can Larva somehow navigate this into a win? I mean, there's hardly any probes for Bisu.
Lurker going to be picked up and dropped on that base. He's coming up on the high ground. He loses the observer. Oh my gosh, he lost the observer at the third. He can't break this now.
Man, I mean, he's clearing up the main base.
More.
He does kill one probe.
That one probe survives.
He's going to try and break the Sunkens. He's just going to try and ram it down now. He has got a lot of Zealots to tank up the majority of those tentacles. The Sonic Shockwave of that Archon helping rip through those Sunkens now as well. He is so close to winning this game, but I think Bisu is just barely going to break him at this base. It's such a shame. He was so close to clutching this out. Even had a Spire on the way. Man. This is such an unfortunate situation for Larva. He's barely going to kill one or two of these Dragoons, but it's not going to be enough. There's another round of Zealots coming in to seal the deal and hammer in the last coffin nail on Larva and put him on match point. I mean, it's so crazy. He was so close to clutching this game.
He was so darn close, I swear to you. Sunkens on the high ground in the main. If he had been building those in time, he would have been able to deny, I think, this attack coming in. He's going to kill the last couple of Dragoons. It looks like there's one more. Oh my god, it's so close. I mean, he doesn't even have a muta making, so he can't do anything about this. GG will have to be called. Oh, Larva is really going to be hurting after this game, and there it is. He taps out. Bisu 2 games ahead now.
Larva slumps in his chair. He knows how close that game was. He's going to look at the replay now and beat himself up even more for letting that slip through his fingers. He was behind in that game for a while after not being able to block the ramp successfully against that initial Zealot force, but being able to be that close to victory despite that awkward position was huge for Larva. The problem is, like we were talking about, the problem with poker is sometimes no matter how well you play, you get your money in the best spots possible, but somehow it doesn't quite go your way still. You need to keep your head and your wits about you in those moments. And I fear that Larva will really psychologically beat himself up over not securing that win. And that will make his chances at a comeback even more diminished.
It's so hard to win a base trade versus Protoss's Zerg. It's really a
Yeah.
tall order. But he did a pretty decent job. Again, blocking the ramp is great into the main base. Just keep denying as long as you can. But having sunken colonies on that high ground, it just crushes Dragoons trying to run up there. And he actually would have ended up killing even just a few more Dragoons. Could have changed his fates in this game. He had plenty of money as this was happening to start making those. I think he banked up about 700 as this attack was going in. But oh my gosh, it's such a crazy gamble from Larva, just barely not making it happen, dude. I feel really bad for him right now. Especially, I mean, he lost the Hydra Den immediately here, which made it so much harder for him to hold.
Yeah, it's just rough. I mean, if he got like 1 or 2 more egg blocks on the ramp, or maybe some sunkens on the high ground, like you were saying, definitely could have gone a lot differently.
Oh, there's
for
a lurker
him.
in that
There's a
Overlord.
lurker in the Overlord.
No way.
Oh my days. That's so unfortunate, man. Oh my gosh. He came so close to clutching this game out. There was like 3 probes mining at one point, and he lost that lurker for free in the Overlord. Oh, I don't think that really mattered at this point. I feel like it kind of was like it's already slipped through his fingers by now, but still, it's crazy how close he came to winning a base trade. We've said it so many times how hard base trades are for Zerg, and it would have been a great win for the Zerg race to get one over Bisu in this scenario. And it's kind of sad, honestly, that he didn't get it. Like, even though I had my heart, my mind, sorry, set on Bisu winning this series, my heart is actually with Larva right now, and I feel for him badly. It bleeds.
A really rough game and a rough loss. Difficult series here for Larva the champ, who has returned after his retirement, directly following his win that granted him the gold star on his chest. He's down but not out. Will he be able to make a recovery in this series?
I mean, it's going to be tough psychologically for him to come back from that. He was so deflated after losing that base trade scenario. I hope he can shake it off, saying, and just not let it get to him too much. But it's a big ask. The reality is his fighting spirit will now be diminished as a result. You can see, look at him. He's slumped over to the side in his chair, holding his chin a little bit. He's not feeling it right now. He's on knockout, and he might be knocked out. I thought this was going to go to game 6. We might not see game 6 at this point. This might be a 4-1 victory to Bisu at this rate.
I hope not, but it's looking bad. It's definitely looking like a dire situation. Yeah, he's groaning here to himself, exasperated at how this has gone so far. But he's got to keep his head in the game like a true poker player, put it all on the line, go all in, and try to make something happen.
He's shaking, man. Like, he's like trying to console himself, and he's like, almost like rocking in his chair without actually rocking, kind of like bouncing his foot, trying to console himself. The reality is he needs to just let it go and focus on the here and now. The past is irrelevant. You need to focus on what you have to do going forward. We're about to dive into this next game, guys. I hope the best for Larva. The ASL Season 20, Round of 8, Match number 5 between Bisu and Larva on Knockout. Let's get it.
Bisu spawning top right, Larva in top left. Guys, as we're getting here into match point, just want to remind you that we have created a Patreon page. It's Saiyan Xun Duo Cast, and if you guys want to support us, you can head over to that page. We also have links for other means of support. We really appreciate all the love that's come our way so far, but we want to continue to do this for a long time, and that requires some monetary help. as well. So if you're capable, if you're willing, we would really love to have you over there on that page.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone that has supported us thus far and will support us in the future. Really does mean the world to us. We, like Saiyan says, we want to be able to do this for many years to come. Keep bringing you the very best and keep as much of our time free and attention on this scene as possible. And hopefully we'll see many more great games of StarCraft in the age of the future. And who knows, Saiyan, like we've said it before, this could end up being like a chess of the gaming world where it never really goes away or gets replaced. It's just going to be this phenomenal retro RTS that stands the test of time forever.
So I was thinking, Xun, going into this game, what Larva should do, and what I expect Bisu to do is probably not an aggressive opener. Or a Nexus first. He's probably going to play middle of the road because he's got such a good lead. I think he's feeling confident. And Larva's kind of, he's decided the same. He's just going to go into a hatchery first. But is this going to be punished? It's a great build if he can get away with it. But here comes the cannon rush, and the second probe is already here, Xun.
Well, the one thing going for Larva is it's not too hard to squeeze these drones over the back. The problem is that with this pylon being a placeholder for the next cannon, you can see it glitches out the drone like this. And with the second probe being here as well, this is very problematic for Larva. Needs to kill this. Probably does actually. Beautiful snipe from Larva, but still not out of the woods yet. You will have to somehow deal with this cannon in his natural. He could build two Sunkens at the same time or something like that. There's a few ways of dealing with this when there's only one single cannon. With this configuration, I don't think you can range the pylons down. You'd have to build two cannons, two Sunkens really far away. So I feel like his gambit might just be to put creeps in the face of this cannon. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, killing the second probe there was huge. That makes a world of difference. He can't add on. He's just buying time. He's just buying time. He's gonna have enough lings here. 6 lings kills this. So, just killing that second probe, it actually pretty much secures the hold. He's gonna let this take a little more damage, but yeah, he gets in here. He kills the cannon now. Bisu needed that second probe to start a second cannon. Otherwise, lings will always beat this.
Okay, yeah. With the probe blocking, I thought it'd be a little bit trickier, but seems like you're right. Seems like he's going to clean this up. It wasn't 6 Zerglings, but still not that many. Going to be cleaning up reasonably efficiently. I thought with the probes blocking, that'd be a bit trickier for Larva to do with just 6 or 8 lings. Seems like he's barely done it with, like, what was it, like 8 or 10 lings. Not too bad from him. So he will be able to make a playable game out of this, and wasn't super successful from Bisu as a result.
Now this is pretty good for Larva, honestly. He didn't lose any drones. He hardly lost that much mining time either, right? He pulled 4 drones to fight for a little bit, but as soon as he killed the probe, he made the perfect decision.
Yes.
To just leave 1 drone to make the sunken colony to buy a little extra time, and then sent everything back to mining. So Bisu wasted what, 350 minerals? And these lings can run by. Oh my gosh, he's not blocking. Dude, this is huge. I can't believe Bisu didn't have probes blocking there, but he gets a little greedy and has all his probes mining, and now 3 lings in the main, and we know what that can do.
Yeah, we certainly do. If he's on top of his task switching, this could be just what Larva needs to get his mojo back in this series. Might even start to put Bisu on a little bit of a tilter. It's going to go straight into a Hydra bust with this as well. Just like 1 or 2 additional probe kills would be insane. There's another one there. Already doing a lot of damage to the economy of Bisu. He's already behind the curve with that failed cannon rush attempt, and honestly, like, Larva dealt with that cannon rush like far better than I thought he would. I'm so proud of him. Like, this is exactly what we need to see from him to come back and win the series. He's not going to kill super loads with those lings in the main, but he's already done enough damage to put himself into a very comfortable position going forward now.
Yeah, he's keeping this 1 ling alive just to get some scouting information. Unfortunately, Larva going to allow this zealot to make its way over to the 3rd base. And so He could end up losing a drone. Oh my gosh, is he going to... Oh, that's rough.
Oof.
One drone falls.
Oh, jeez.
Bisu, you know, he might be a little bit thrown off by this build. He doesn't know that it's Hydra Bust. This is knockout after all. High ground, or there's kind of that low ground ditch right in front of the natural, so it's not really common to see the Hydra Bust here. And he's sending another Zealot over to the third. He's going to see the Hydra pop out now, but is he going to be able to make enough defenses in time? He's got to throw down a lot of cannons now.
I think he's going to double fake him. I think this is going to be a fake Hydra Bust into a pre-storm Hydra Bust, and he's got a fourth base down in the bottom left on the way. So I feel like he's going to force a big response out of Bisu initially and not actually go for this. And then
that hatch.
Maybe do a follow-up pre-storm Hydra Bust after the fact. But this is a big ditch, a big trench that he's got to contest with. This is not as easy as it would usually be to go for something like this, and maybe that's what Larva's hoping for, that Bisu will kind of overestimate his defensive capability because of the trench, and the pre-storm Hydra Bust will still ruin his day. The one thing going for Bisu is he's obviously got this Corsair that's running around confirming that there's no transition from Larva, so he should be able to identify this and make a lot of defenses still back at home.
I don't know. He flies through. He's only going to see the fourth hatchery. That's it. I don't think he saw this fourth base down in bottom left. So maybe there's a chance that Larva kind of mind games him here. That's kind of a risky fourth base to take, but I think it's a very nice calculated risk. Here's the range finishing up. And so Larva going to get the forge. Does he get it in time? He does. He stops the +1 attack upgrade from Bisu. This is... I mean, the stars are kind of aligning here for Larva finally. Oh, the fourth. Okay, he does get those drones to mining.
He doesn't actually have to bust anymore. Like, killing the forge at that timing, denying the upgrade, he can just transition, honestly. Like, this is not bad for Larva. Yeah, he can just do a normal style of play now. He doesn't even have to go for a pre-storm bust anymore. I feel like the damage has already been done to Bisu, and Larva could be enjoying a pretty strong mid game, which is kind of weird. I didn't think that Larva would bounce back from that last game in the way that he has. This is like exactly what has to happen for Larva to have any chance at winning the whole series. It's not just about winning the game. It's about winning the whole thing, and he needs to win 3 games in a row to do that. So momentum and tempo and your state of morale is way more important than usual.
Oh, this is very unorthodox. Look at this drop coming out from Bisu. It's going to be spotted here. Did he see it? I think he did. I think he did see it.
He saw a red dot.
He saw a red dot. He spreads out, but he doesn't see the shuttle, so he doesn't know. Oh, man. This is a crazy play from Bisu to go for such a quick shuttle. Is he actually going to get into the main base with a DT or something like that? That's
maybe
crazy.
Because he saw the red dot, but not that it was a shuttle, right? So he doesn't know for sure this is coming. Yeah, I think this is going to work.
He sent an Overlord into the main. He's aware of the possibility. Yeah, DT into the main base. He sees it. He sees it. He definitely sees it now. He's going to react with 2 Hydras and pull the drones. 2 kills only. This is a very good hold from Larva, despite not getting the confirmation on that shuttle.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get like 3 or 4 drones. Only 3, it seems. But that could have been a lot worse. It's great instincts from him to send an Overlord back into the main like that to prevent disaster. Larva kind of coming out strong thus far. Hope he can go the distance and take us to at least to game 6 here. Would be great if he could also go all the way to game 7. Would be super psyched for him. My heart is with this guy right now. I mean, I kind of want him to win. Like, I won't lie to you guys. I would love for Larva to somehow do an amazing comeback.
It would be a very impressive thing if he could take down the series versus Bisu, who's just been looking so powerful so far. I think a lot of people would be shocked at that result if he did manage to force the comeback. Bisu pushing out now with Dragoons and will likely push up here to the high ground to go ahead and take his 3rd base. I'm not sure if he's got the 2 base timing window here. He did make a lot of Dragoons, but Dragoons against this many Hydras, I'm not sure if it's
Yeah.
going to end up working. He might just be better off taking the third up on that high ground.
Yes. Yeah, that's what he should do. He should just hold the high ground, take the third. It looks like he is going to be doing that. Yeah, but until he has like 2 full control groups of Dragoons, probably not the super smartest ideas to be aggressive by Bisu right now. He needs to be careful he doesn't overextend with this army, or might open himself up to counterattacks as well. It was like he's just cycling around his units a little bit, picking off a few things here and there, and then rotating back around to this third base high ground location. Again, I think there's a lot of Hydras out for Larva that Bisu needs to respect that. Just get like 1 or 2 storms and then back up again. But I think like if Bisu gets bait, oh, he's gonna drop into the main base. This is really nice from Bisu though, because there's not actually a lot for Larva to cycle back up to defend against that. So it causes a bit of a headache for Larva because he's pulling Hydras back from the front line right now, completely opening up the position for Bisu to surge forward and secure this location at the bridge and really start to bottleneck Larva's unit stream up right now. And this is going to lead to some really cost-efficient trades for Bisu. He's flipped the script on Larva in just one little play by sending those 2 Zealots into the main.
Oh, I don't know if he has quite enough right now. Larva running low on Hydras. A few more storms come out. Those last couple of storms maybe sealing the deal. Bisu with this timing off of 2 bases. I didn't think he was going to pull the trigger on this, but he just goes for it. And with the drop into the main, causing that little bit of extra headache for Larva, with hardly any control necessary for Bisu, just sends the Zealots in, and that's all on Larva to deal with. He loses some big trades with the storms. He's even going to lose this Evo Chamber as well. The Evo Chamber is going to go down. There it is, GG. Oh my goodness. Bisu.
I did not expect that.
Clutches out the series like that. That was impressive, to say the least. This was a really strong series from Bisu. I am super excited to see what he can do against Soma next.
He just got slightly overwhelmed with the task switching, having to pull some Hydras back to deal with the 2 Zealots in the main. Right as Bisu was surging out onto the map, he was so distracted in slowing down that Protoss army that it got into an optimal position to force trades with the Zerg, and there was nothing that Larva could do once he allows the Protoss to come into that tight position with the bridges. It's relentlessly ruthless what Bisu is able to accomplish. I thought this was going to be a 4-2 victory for Bisu, not this 4-1 domination train. Really feel bad for Larva, man. And you can see how much it meant to him emotionally as well. He had his like head in his hands almost at the end of that, really struggling to come to terms with what's happened in this series. You can see here, like, he was buying a little bit of time with these Hydras initially, but then the 2 Zealots came down in the main, and with only 2 Hydras here, he's got to start pulling back some Hydras from the front. He can't cope with microing against this army at his door and sending units back to clean up those Zealots, which opened up this whole position. Now, Bisu just inserts himself and just starts going to town on the value trades over and over again, and everything's just bottled up for Larva. He can't get good flanking or surface area to punish this, and unfortunately for him, Bisu just runs away with it and secures a very convincing closure to this series.
Yeah, this was a really good attack from him for sure. Larva seemed like he had a reasonable, decent position with that 4th base coming up so early, really getting that saturated, but these small plays from Bisu and just strong engagements win out in this final game. I really thought we were going to see game 6 here after the way that early game panned out, but Larva overwhelmed by Bisu's prowess, and I think the right player made it forward.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is. He's been out of the scene for a long time. And Bisu, he's been grinding hard recently. He had such a disappointing tournament run in the ASL Season 19. He's definitely fighting back strong for his fans in this run, though. He's taken down Larva in a very convincing fashion and will go on to face against Soma in the semifinals. That's going to be a seriously sick lineup between those two. Soma's a much different style of Zerg than Larva, much more hyper-aggressive orientated. Bisu, might have bit off a little bit more than he can chew with Soma. We'll have to see. I still think that Bisu has a very strong shot, but Soma's one of these Zergs that, despite being away from the scene for a while, he's going to be fighting, I think, a little bit more strongly than the performance we saw from Larva here today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Soma's been looking just crazy, crazy good. Taking down Bisu or taking down Best, excuse me, is a massive statement. And Bisu here has also made himself known. He is also a strong contender to go into the finals. I'm so curious to see how that series will turn out, guys. It's been a while since we've seen Bisu go this deep. He continuously has been getting knocked out in the round of 8. Not since season 13 did he make it into the top 4, but he secured his seed for ASL 21 despite how the rest of this tournament unfolds. He's at least going to be able to form his group next season and give himself a better chance of getting through deep in that tournament as well.
Yeah, it's strange. Despite my heart being with Larva for that series, I have a little bit of chills for Bisu winning. I mean, it's kind of nuts that this guy that was such a champion of a player back in the day is actually starting to go deep in ASL now. And like you say, also securing that seed means he'll be even more motivated and having a even stronger chance at winning another title the next time around in ASL season 21 to boot. So even if he doesn't go the distance and get through to the finals and takes his star down at long last, he will have a strong chance of doing that the next time around with that seed. Either way, I'm super stoked for Bisu. I'm sure a lot of you at home are so happy right now, all of you Protoss fans and Bisu supporters. It's been a long time coming, but this guy breaks through to the semi-finals and will now be really tested by the likes of Soma. But that's not going to be our next match. We've actually got Barracks versus Snow will be our next game, and that's going to be a really interesting one because in history, Barracks has kind of been bullied by Snow a little bit. I feel like Barracks is going to have a much stronger chance this time around because not only has he improved a lot in his versus Protoss matchup, but he will have a lot of Terrans helping him. He performed quite spectacularly against Mini, and some of these guys have a little bit of help from the pros, even during the series, just so you know. Barracks was tuning in to Flash's stream and like asking for feedback about what he should do and in between the games and whether or not he should go for certain game plans. So these guys do have a little bit of coaching in between the games sometimes if you've got enough friends in the scene. And I feel like because he's the only Terran remaining, he's going to have so much backing from the Terran scene that he'll have a lot of people helping him find a way of beating Snow.
Yeah, that's always a huge factor who you're going to be practicing with, who your practice partners are. And it seems like Barracks has a depth of practice partners. He got so many people willing to help him out. Light being one of his big mentors, and Flash as well. So he's got a pretty good chance, I'd say, of giving us a good series. Do I think he can beat Snow in a best of 7? I'll be honest, guys. I really don't think that's very likely. I'd give him like a 30% chance, somewhere around there. We'll see what the online poll says because I'm expecting like a 90% online poll for Snow, but I think it's a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, maybe so. I just know that all of these guys are going to be super hungry for it, saying every single one of our semi-finalists do not have a gold star on their chest. So no matter who wins, no matter what happens, someone is going to be dubbed a champion that hasn't yet done it. So that's some pretty exciting things to think about no matter what turn of events. It's not like it's going to be someone like Soulkey becoming like a not only a 4-star general, but a 5-star general now, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be someone that hasn't ever won before in ASL getting that gold star. And that's something to be really excited about, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had this era of domination in the last 4 seasons. Sulky's been taking time and time again, and now we get a brand new champion, someone who's never been at the top before. That's super exciting. All these guys are very, very hungry for that title. not least of whom Bisu here, who had so many good results in the Kespa era, has been struggling to show his best stuff in the ASL. And, you know, he's had ups and downs. He's had blunders, but he seems to be on an upswing right now. Is it high enough to take down Soma, though? We're going to find out in 2 weeks, guys. I'll go over to the Saiyan Patreon page for that spoiler-free schedule, where we can see that the next match is going to be the round of 4 on the 13th of October, guys. So we're skipping all of next week.
Yeah.
Not going to have any ASL next week, and we'll be back on the 13th and 14th for match 1 and match 2.
Yeah, so not next week, the week after that. That's the Monday we'll be showing up for that Barracks versus Snow game. It's actually going to be more insane than some of you guys might think it will be, especially with the likes of Flash and Light and all of those good players mentoring Barracks. I think a lot of players have a respect for Barracks now. I think Flash was talking a little bit about that on stream recently, about he's kind of surprised by Barracks because back in the day, Barracks was always training hard, just like Flash. He just never had the results. And finally, Barracks is breaking through to the semifinals. It's the only time he's ever done it. He's always been knocked out before this. And as a result, there'll be a lot more confidence behind Barracks in his practice room, and his friends and his mentors. They'll be helping him more than ever because they want to see him win now. He's the only representative of the Terran race. It's going to be insane, the kind of game plans that then the pocket builds that people like Flash will be handing over to Barracks and being like, this is how you beat Snow on this particular map. And we might see a really epic showdown between those two gamers if Barracks is able to execute on the day and not let his nerves get to him.
Yeah, it's going to take more than just great plans, because the best laid plans be laid to waste by a player at the caliber of Snow. We saw today that Larva came in with a really solid game plan and started off strong, but just couldn't quite perform, couldn't quite execute to the level of Bisu. We'll see if Barracks suffers a similar fate, guys, in 2 weeks' time. We'll be watching those games. I can hardly wait, Xun. It's a bit of torture here that we have to wait for a whole week or a whole 2 weeks to get those games.
So we'll have the finals of KCM to kind of hold us over. In the meantime, if you guys don't know, we do the duo cast for the KCM, which is a race war series. Go check that out on Saiyan's channel, Saiyan KCM on YouTube. And if you aren't in the know and you're watching this on YouTube right now on the StarCast channel, just so you know, we cast these live over at souplive.com/SCTVEN. And obviously that'll be 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time. So go and do the time conversion and figure out if you can show up to watch that live and talk in the chat. Either way, I'll be seeing you guys in the live chat for the YouTube premiere, as always, to chill with you a little bit. Saiyan can't do that because of time zone constraints. He's actually sleeping then, but I'll be happy to come and chill you guys a little bit there as well. And thanks so much to everyone that has supported us and will continue to do so in the future. We really do love and appreciate all of you.
Yeah, definitely check out that KCM, guys. PVZ finals. It's going to be so much fun. More great Protoss versus Zerg plays are coming soon. So don't miss out on it. We'll see you guys either way in the next cast. Thank you. We love you. Good night.
Thanks, guys.